This is how hard houses were shaken in the 1994 earthquake in Los Angeles. Could your house stand up to this? Hello, I'm Michael Holigan. Welcome to your new house. Whether it's earthquakes, tornadoes, or hurricanes, most homes aren't built to withstand nature's forces. Steve Easley visits a company that's trying to change that. And super handyman Al Carroll is tired of waiting for hot water every time he turns the faucet on, so he's taking matters into his own hands, and you can too. And if you'd like an exterior siding for your home that can withstand fire and only needs to be painted about once every 10 years, we've got the solution plus a lot more for you coming up right now on your new house. Homeowners across the country are now looking for alternatives to wood fencing that has to be treated each year and replaced about every 5 years. Concrete block walls like this one have become very popular. Today we're using a block system called Proto 2, and we're going to show you just how strong and durable it really is. I have seen a lot of rebar in a lot of block walls before, but never a smooth piece of rebar with threads on the end of it. What is that exactly for?
This is a threaded steel anchor. So when we get to the top of our wall, we'll put a plate and a nut, and we will post tension this and stress this anchor to hold the wall down.
So you're actually going to be, with the nut, actually screwing this down to where the whole wall compresses tighter?
Exactly.
Okay, and now what do you have to do to prepare a foundation to not only hold the weight of concrete block, but also to have tension on it pulling it into the foundation?
Okay, this is a reinforced concrete foundation. What it is, it's a 12-inch by 12-inch concrete beam reinforced, setting on 12-inch diameter piers.
How deep are the piers?
The piers are approximately 8 feet on this site.
Wow.
We have quite a bit of clay soil, so we had to put a 6-inch void form underneath the foundation, so as the soil heaves, it would crush the void form and not lift up the wall.
So whenever this clay gets wet, it's going to move back and forth, but our wall will stay stationary and not crack and move all around?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, I like that idea. Well, let's go over here where they're putting the block down.
Okay. The Proto 2 block, it is a split face block, and it can be manufactured to be split on both sides or split on one side where you have a smooth side and a textured side.
Okay, so here we have a really nice texture to it, and then here it looks like a typical block.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and that's a split face. And then how wide are we here?
We're approximately 6 inches.
Okay. Now, what do we need to do to build the wall itself? Just put mortar down?
We just need to put some mortar down. Philip, could you put some mortar?
Okay. And then what's this metal piece down here that he's putting the mortar on top
This
of?
metal piece is a ladder tie, and the ladder tie is to give the mortar and the bond between the blocks some strength. Michael, we need to get the anchor through the aperture of the block. There we go.
Well, these concrete blocks are heavy. We need shorter anchors.
That would help. We need to make sure that this is lined up, midway on the block, so we don't have the joints lined up.
Yeah.
And then we just tap them into place. The string gives us a level line. There we go.
Good.
There,
Okay.
that's just about it.
So Mark, how do we put in the second one now?
Okay, these blocks have a male and female joint, the male end and the female, and we just slide the joints together and they interlock. Then we just tap it into place and get it level.
But there's no mortar at all in this joint.
That's correct.
Okay.
It is designed with a factory joint. That way, if there's any movement in the soil, this wall is designed to move and it's not going to crack and break because there is no rigid mortar joint.
Well, Mark, now that the guys have the walls stacked up, I see our rebar with the threads actually sticking out, and I take it this is where the plate and the nut go?
That's correct.
Okay.
In fact, the plate fits over the anchor, and then the nut holds the plate in place.
Now with the wet mortar, how long do we have to wait before we can actually crank it down?
Before we tension it, we need to wait about 4 days.
Okay. And this isn't attractive, so I take it you have a cap to put on the
Yes, we
top
have a
of this.
cap that has a hollow area inside that the anchor fits right over, and this is mortared in place.
And that'll go all the way across.
That'll go all the way across, and it gives it a finished look.
Okay. Let's hop down off the ladder and take a quick look at the column over here. Now, Mark, the block on the column looks a little different because you actually have texture on the ends as well as on the flat. Now, what is this block?
This is just a conventional, solid, split-face haydite block. The ends, we split those with a hammer here on the side.
So you just cracked that concrete and got that texture?
That's correct.
Looks good. It looks like the flat part. What happens if you have a fence that has an angle in it for any reason? How do you split a block?
Well, we cut that with a wet saw.
Okay, and it will cut through the concrete?
And it will cut through the concrete.
Okay. Now on the columns, is there any post tension on top here?
No, these are conventional columns. They have, conventional rebar, and the center of it's grouted solid.
They look good. I'm sure the more that you have, the more the price goes up, but what's the range for a fence across the country like this?
Well, kind of a simple, plain fence, could be as low as $45 a lineal foot. The more you spruce it up, the more columns and the other more features you add to it, can drive the cost up to, a little over $100.
Okay, but it's an investment. I don't take it you're ever putting stain or sealer on this each summer?
No.
And it doesn't wear out in 5 years like some other types?
That's right. Unlike a wood fence, this is more, of a permanent type.
Permanent structure. Well, I definitely like it. If you'd like more information about finding the right fence for your home, contact us on the internet at michaelholigan.com.
If you're tired of waiting on hot water, stay tuned. Super Handyman Al Carroll has a way to get the hot water flowing fast. And do you want to get more bang for your buck? Joe Sherinsky certainly does. He'll show you how to do it by making one plant into many. Get your green thumb ready. You'll need it when we come back to your new house. If you'd like a detailed list of the tools and materials needed for any project that you've seen on the show, you can find it on the internet at www.michaelholigan.com.
Did you ever turn on the hot water at the kitchen sink and it runs lukewarm or maybe even cold for 30 seconds? Seems like 10 minutes. Actually, it's because of the fact that the water heater is located on the other side of the house near the bathroom. We're going to show you how much water you're wasting. Studies show that in the average house, there are approximately 2.5 gallons of water that's in the line that's got to be pushed out before you ever get hot water. And that is a big waste. We've got a solution, though. We've got an under-the-sink water heater that will give you hot water on demand. And it is something that you can install yourself. Now, the first thing we have to do is to cut off the hot water line to the dishwasher. It's this one right here. And then the one to the sink, which is this one right here. Now, we need to use a wrench to disconnect the hose that's coming to the sink. Now, as soon as we get this unhooked, we'll be able to go up on the countertop and put all of our fittings together. Now I'm wrapping the Teflon tape around the threads here. It's a good idea anytime that you're going to be using threaded connections. Once that's done, we're going to take this fitting over here and I'm going to put it on here by hand. This over here with the red collar is hot water. That's a good indication right there. Also, it says hot water right there. This is where the hot water will come out going to the sink and also to the dishwasher. We'll turn it down by hand and then take a wrench and get it snugged down real good. Now once we get it snugged down real good and tight, we're going to be ready for the next set of fittings to go on. Now it's time to put our fittings onto the T. Now this fitting goes on this end and it's going to carry the hot water up to the kitchen sink. I'll just put it on first by hand, then later we'll take a wrench to it. This next fitting is a little bit different in that it's the same except it's got a fitting of its own on there. We'll take that apart and let me show you what the fitting is. This is called a compression fitting. The copper tubing that goes to the dishwasher goes in there. You then fit this ring that's inside there onto the copper tube, and then you put the copper tube into this fitting, and when you tighten this nut down, it's going to end up compressing the ring. That's going to give you a real good seal, so you're not going to have any leaks. We'll put this on by hand, and then we'll take a wrench and tighten it up too. Now we're going to use our adjustable wrench to snug this up real good and tight so that we don't have any leaks. Now we're going to be using these metal sheathed anti-burst hoses, and this one is going to take the water supply up to the kitchen faucet. We'll put it on hand tight, and then we'll come back with a wrench and tighten it again. One of the nice things about this project is that we're able to do a whole lot of stuff up here on the countertop, and that means we don't have to spend a lot of time that's down underneath the sink in cramped quarters. Now this next hose here is going to bring the water in to our water heater here. We'll put it on hand tight. And you know, having all these threaded fittings really are great. First of all, it means that we don't have to do anything exotic like doing sweat soldering or flaring joints or anything like that. And it really makes the entire project go a lot quicker. We have our water heater in under the sink here now. I get to lie down on the job for a little while. You remember this T up here? You remember we've got a hose coming off of here that goes to our kitchen faucet. What we need to do then is connect this to the hose that we originally took off that went to the kitchen faucet. And all we need to do is to get this connection on here hand tight, and we'll come back with a wrench and do the rest of it. There's one other hose that we have to hook up, and that's this one over here. This is the water supply line. And if you'll remember, it's got to hook up to this stop valve over here. Here again, we just need to get it hand tight. Now we're ready to address the copper tubing over here and cut it off and get it hooked up. Now we're going to be able to use the copper tubing that originally connected to the dishwasher. We do have to bend it around just a little bit, and anytime you're going to be bending copper tubing, you want to make sure that you don't kink it. You remember the compression fitting we had over here? Well, now we're going to put it to good use. Going to take the nut and the ferrule off. Feed the nut down here like so. Then we take the little ferrule and put it on there. Slide it down. Now we take the copper tubing, stick it into the opening there, all the way, move the nut up and start tightening it by hand. Now we just need to take our wrench and tighten it down. Now we need to cut the water back on. We'll do that. And then there's the matter of the electrical. There isn't any. We just plug it in. And in no time at all, you'll have hot water. Well, we should have some hot water by now. Ooh, man, that's good and hot. You know, our unit cost us about 120 bucks. They didn't furnish all the hoses and fittings. That cost us another 30 bucks, but we did get it installed by ourselves. Now, we're going to have hot water instantly, right here at the sink, also at the dishwasher, and we can stop wasting water. If you have questions, why don't you contact us on the internet? It's michaelholigan.com.
Went to a sale at the garden center today, kind of an end of the season thing, and got this, Hosta Cucutii. I've had my eye on it all season, but it was $20, which I think is a bit steep for a hosta. But at the end of the season, I got it for only $12. And I still think that's a bit high. So what I'm going to do is show you how to save money in the garden. I'm going to show you how to multiply this hosta. And next season, you'll have 4, 5, or 6 of them for the price of one. The first step is to hydraulically mine away the soil. We're going to wash it with a hard jet of water and wash as much of this potting soil off the ball as we can so we can see the roots and rhizomes inside it. To do that, we just use a hard jet of water. Once you've got all or most of the soil washed off your hosta, you'll begin to see where the roots are and where the rhizomes are. And you may be able to just simply break it apart. Some hostas divide more easily than others. Hostas, of course, spread by rhizomes. What we're seeing here mostly are roots. The rhizomes are these thick, fleshy-looking roots in the inside. We need to separate those, and each piece needs to have some roots associated with it. When we take them apart, each one of these pieces will grow into a new plant next season. Once we've got them divided into a number of pieces, we're going to put them into a solution of Super Thrive or root stimulator. These chemicals contain rooting hormones and vitamin B complex vitamins that aid in the rooting and help to eliminate transplant shock. By the way, I said we're doing this at the end of the season. I've done this to hostas in midsummer. They're very tough, even though they're very expensive. We put them right in there and let them set for a while, and then we'll take them and plant them like good, expensive bare root plants. We'll dig a hole, we'll make a mound of soil in the bottom of the hole, and we'll spread these roots out over that cone or that mound of soil in the bottom, and then backfill it and water it again. These, of course, will die off in the fall, but next spring we'll have 5, 6, 7, or 8 hosta cacutii, all for the price of one. Now that method of hydraulically mining a hosta apart is a good method for separating small plants, perennials, daylilies, Siberian irises, hostas, coreopsis, things like that. But what if your grandmother has a nice shrub in her yard and you'd like a piece of it just for, sentimental value? In this case, it's my mother's Navusia. I've always liked this plant, and they're not very common in the nursery trade. What I'm going to do is cut out a pie-shaped piece of this plant and take it home with me. But first, of course, I'm going to dip it in that bucket full of hormones, rooting compounds, to eliminate transplant shock. I'll leave the parent plant in place and just get a piece of it to put in my yard. Of course, I could dig up the whole plant and separate it into numerous pieces, but in this case, the parent plant will be undisturbed, and I'll bring this piece home with me. Other plants that you can divide the way we did this Navusia are called old-fashioned plants, the ones that sucker up from the base and spread wider and wider. Plants like lilac, privet, mock orange, fragrant sumac, to name just a few. Remember, you can save money in the garden, and you can save memories from the garden. All you have to do is multiply by dividing.
You probably know how annoying it can be when you're trying to haul in groceries or something else from outside and the slightest breeze catches your door and blows it shut. So today I'm going to give you a quick tip on how to use a magnetic door catch to keep your door open until you're ready for it to be shut. You want to mount the magnetic door stop on the baseboard directly behind the door. Now first you need to remove this door stopper, but that'll help you later because you have a pre-existing hole. Now this is basically what this looks like. You have the magnetic door catch and then the plate, and it just goes on right like that, so it's really pretty basic. Now this comes with a screw in the kit, so just place the screw through this plate and then just take a Phillips head screwdriver and screw it into the pre-existing hole. Now just make sure that it's seated snugly against the baseboard. And once you have your base plate screwed in, then you just need to twist these coils on. It just takes a couple of turns. Now you're ready to attach this plate to the back of the door. Now here's a great tip for that. Just take some lipstick and smear it on the end of the stop. And make sure you get a nice glob of lipstick so that it completely covers the door stop. Now let me show you what this does. Just open the door and let it kiss the door stop. And now you'll have a mark on the door so you know exactly where you need to attach the plate. Now we need to drill pilot holes for the mounting screws. Now once the pilot holes are drilled, then you just need to screw both screws in, and these also come with the kit. Once you have all of your hardware attached, then you can see how great it works.
Did you know that most homes in America are located near a major earthquake fault line? Well, today I'm in Brea, California at Simpson Strong-Tie, and we're going to show you some of the latest building components to make your home safer, stronger, more resistant to earthquakes and wind. At the Simpson Strong-Tie Laboratory, they use a machine that simulates the destructive force of an earthquake or storm-force winds. This test helps engineers develop stronger and more effective hold-down devices for the home. The company produces dozens of different hold-downs and connectors to make wood frame homes more resistant to the destructive forces of Mother Nature.
All the components are made of top-quality steel, using machines that exert up to 400 tons of pressure to stamp the steel into shape. Today we'll be looking at an earthquake hold-down that fits into the base of a wood-framed wall. The steel is designed not to stretch, bend, or warp under extreme pressure.
Eric, what are these devices and how do they help make our home more earthquake resistant?
What we have here, Steve, is a strong wall panel. We've got a couple of hold downs attached to this panel, and these hold downs transfer the load forces down to the foundation.
How are they attached?
The hold downs are attached to the structural wood member with our strong drive screws. We've got 20 of these screws holding the back plane of the hold down to each post.
So then what does these rods do and where do they go?
This is a hold down anchor bolt. This goes down to the foundation and will connect with a coupler to this SSTB-28, which is cast in place in the concrete.
That's pretty heavy duty, and how far down in the concrete does this go?
Steve, this is the embedment line of the product. So everything below this line is below grade in the concrete.
Wow, I can't imagine the forces that would ever pull this out.
It won't happen.
It won't happen, that's right. So then basically what happens to a house in an earthquake is, you know, it will move back and forth like this and then eventually collapse. So really the whole art here is to make a system that transfers these loads efficiently into the foundation.
And that's what we've got right here.
Well, what are we going to test for today and what are we going to see?
Okay, what we're simulating today is a garage door opening. We've got one panel on each side of our garage opening, and they're tied together with a header.
What type of earthquake are we going to simulate?
What we're looking at when we run a test here today is about 3 7.0 earthquakes.
So that's equivalent to the 1994 earthquake in Los Angeles.
Right.
Well, let's fire it up.
Basically, these panels aren't designed to deflect more than, say, ½ an inch on average. So what we're doing here is a destructive test to see exactly how these panels perform.
Well, it looks like they're doing pretty good. Tell me how all this works so it fits together. Is it glued or nailed?
What we've got here is a fine balance between wood material and mechanical fasteners. So we've got the hold downs attached with the screws that we talked about a little bit earlier. And this oriented strand board panel, which we call a diaphragm, is attached to the perimeter of this panel with the standard 10D common nail. But it goes through a special U-channel that we developed to get better function out of these nails in shear around the perimeter of the wall.
I noticed we got some pretty heavy metal straps up there. That sort of holds everything together. But basically, this is a lot more forces than we'd see in a normal earthquake. Are you going to test this till it breaks?
We typically test these panels until they break.
We push the panels to the maximum load for several minutes. Most earthquakes last for less than 1 minute. The test we're conducting here is 3 times stronger than a 7.0 earthquake. Eventually, the wood frame fails at the bottom of our simulated garage door opening.
Well, Eric, we're at the other side of our garage door opening. Tell me how our wall did.
It did very well, Steve. As you know, this is a destructive test, so we pushed the wall out to a displacement where there's going to be some form of destruction. So the way that the wall fell today was the bottom sill split, as you can see here.
The ultimate goal is to design stronger, more earthquake and storm-resistant walls to keep you and your family safe. If you'd like more information on how to build stronger and safer homes, contact us on the internet at michaelholigan.com.
If your garage door doesn't have all the latest safety features, you may be putting your family at risk. Teresa Garrett shows you how you can make your family safer and save money by installing that new opener yourself. And if the mortgage process is getting you down, I have a way to make it simple and save you money, plus a lot more when your new house returns.
If you'd like a detailed list of the tools and materials needed for any project that you've seen on the show, you can find it on the internet at www.michaelholigan.com.
When it's time to shop for a mortgage, who are you going to call? A broker or a banker? For more and more consumers, the answer is a broker. In 1987, brokers handled just 20% of all mortgages, but last year, brokers were responsible for 70% of the $1.7 trillion worth of mortgages originated. Brokers are like the automotive superstores of the mortgage world. They carry tens or even hundreds of different mortgage products. Buyers with very specific or unusual borrowing needs make good broker candidates. But it's shopper beware when it comes to working with brokers because unlike mortgage bankers, Mortgage brokers are not directly regulated by any federal agency. While several states do require licensing and continuing education for brokers, the requirements vary. If you think you want to go through a mortgage broker to get your loan, do your homework. Ask your friends and colleagues if they can recommend good brokers. Consider checking to see if the recommended brokers have faced state regulatory sanctions. There are lots of honest brokers in the business, but because the industry is so weakly regulated, some brokers get away with questionable practices. To protect yourself, figure out exactly what you want in a mortgage product, get a written description of the exact product being offered, make sure it matches your needs. Then you can compare the rates, fees, and points different brokers charge for the exact same product. If you want to lock in an interest rate with a broker, get a signed document stating that the lock has been executed. You'll have to do this during business hours for the lock to take effect that day. Stay on top of the broker until you get your proof. Check your detailed good faith estimate against your final bill before you sign your closing papers. Brokers are sometimes paid twice, by the investor who buys the loan and by the home buyer. Be sure your broker isn't double dipping. Remember too that banks and thrifts are adding new mortgage products to their portfolios every day, so you may not need to work with a mortgage broker. The perfect mortgage might be at the bank down the street.
Not having an automatic garage door opener can be a real inconvenience. And if you're building a new home like this one, this is the best time to put it in right from the start. It's a fairly simple project, although it will take some time, but it's a project you can do yourself. You'll want to start by putting the rail together. And the railing comes in 3 pieces. These just slide and lock into place with these clasps. Next, you'll want to put on the trolleys. I have 2. This is an inner trolley and this is the outer trolley. First, you put on the inner trolley. This just slides down the railing just like this, and the next is the outer trolley. And what this is for, the belt attaches to this, and this will slide up and down the railing to open and close the garage door. Now pull the trolley to the front of the rail. You need to add a stop bolt to stop your trolley. This stop bolt is going to be held in place with this nut. This goes right in here. And this stops the trolley in the right place for the garage door to be in the right position. Now we need to add the pulley for the belt. Go ahead and put your belt through this slot, and then your pulley goes right here in the center. And again, this is held together with this bolt and will be attached with this nut. Attach the rail to the motor by sliding it into place. And this is going to be held in place with the back stop bolt. So put this through there and then screw the nut on. I'm installing a Craftsman silent drive garage door opener. And what's really nice about this is there's hardly any noise. That's because of the belt. This is a steel reinforced belt encased in rubber. Compared to the chain drives, which are so noisy, this one doesn't have the metal rubbing up against metal, which causes all the noise. What you want to do with the belt is run this around this back pulley, run it back down the rail, and attach it at the other end. We've attached this end of the belt to the trolley, and it clips into place. To attach the other end of the belt to the tension spring, take the chain link, put it through both of these holes just like this. Then you'll want to take the master link and put it on top. When that's in place, we can use this clip to clip this all together. Now after this is done, we need to tighten up the tension spring until our belt is the right tension that we need. Well, we've done as much work as we can on the ground. Now we're almost ready to attach this to the ceiling, but this is where you're going to need an extra pair of hands. This is pretty hard to maneuver by yourself. This is Ted Ruger, our technical advisor. Ted, you're going to help me attach this to the ceiling?
Sure.
What we need to do first is attach our header bracket, and to do that, you're going to have to raise the door up just a little bit to mark the highest point of travel. Ted, if you'll raise that door up for me. You want to use a level. Okay, about right down just a little bit, about right there. As soon as you get the highest point of travel, you'll want to make a mark on the wall. After you get your mark on the wall, you'll need to take a tape measure and measure up 2 inches above that mark, and this is where you're going to mount the header bracket. So go up 2 inches and make another mark. Would you hand me that? This is the header bracket, and what you want to do with this is put the bottom of this bracket on that mark that you just made. Remember, the mark is 2 inches above the highest point of travel, and we're using 2-inch lag bolts to attach the bracket. So I'll start by putting this in the top. And then I'll just screw this in. Once the header bracket is in place, now you can go ahead and attach the front end of the rail. Ted, you want to hand that up? Okay, what you're doing is you're placing the rail inside of the bracket, and you need to line the holes up to put the pin through. Back just a little bit, Ted. About right there's good. I'm pushing this pin through, and I'm going to use the safety ring, back just a little bit, Ted, to hold this pin in place. And this just guarantees that your pin's not going to be sliding out. What I've done is mounted these two brackets to hold the motor. We went up into the attic and saw that the joists run this way across the ceiling instead of lengthwise. So I took 2-inch lag bolts and screwed these up through the drywall into the joist. And this is going to give us a good mount. Okay, Ted, I'm ready for the motor. What you want to do is raise this motor up, and you're going to line the holes up from the motor and the bracket. And just use line of sight and make sure this is level. Take this bolt and push it through both holes. Now you'll need to securely tighten this nut. Then you can take a wrench to tighten it all the way. I've drilled 2 holes in the door to attach the bracket. This is the bracket that will attach the door to the trolley. Be sure and put this 2 to 4 inches below the top of the door. Just line your holes up, put your bolt through, and securely tighten the nut on back. I'm ready to attach the safety sensors. There are 2 of these that come in the kit, and this is a really important safety feature. What these do is you attach one of these on each side of the door. This creates an invisible beam that goes from one sensor to the other. And if the beam is broken, say if you have a child or a pet run through and break that beam, the garage door will automatically stop and go back up. As a matter of fact, in the last 5 years, over 30 people have died from being crushed from their garage door opener. So the government recommends that if you installed a garage door opener before 1982, you need to have it replaced. If you had a garage door opener installed between 1982 and 1992, it's very important to upgrade and add these safety sensors. They could definitely save a life. I've marked 6 inches above the ground, and that's where you need to add your safety sensors. And this just snaps into place. Add the safety sensor, and then tighten this wing nut. Use a staple gun and run this wire all the way up the side. Now you can see that I've left a little bit of slack in the wire, and that's in case you need to make any adjustments. What you're going to do is put a staple about every 12 to 16 inches. I'm just going to run this all the way up the side, meet it in the middle with the other wire, and then I'm going to run both of them back to the motor. As you can see, I've run both wires down the middle and I'm attaching them to the motor. So I just need to put this last wire on and tighten this up. Now all I need to do is plug this in, and we're almost finished with the installation. The last thing that we need to put on is the trolley arm. So I need to push this pin through here, and then again I'm using the metal ring just like I used on the header bracket to lock this in place. Now this trolley arm comes in 2 pieces and it's adjustable, and I've already adjusted it to where I need it. This piece right here goes in the door bracket. I've got another pin, one more ring, and we're finished. Our installation is complete. Now I want to show you how the safety sensors work. Let me close the door. Now I'm going to use my hand to break the beam. And just like that, it goes back up. This automatic garage door opener costs $250. It is a project that you can do yourself, but you saw that the extra pair of hands really came in handy. Even with 2, it'll still take you a better part of the day. But once you're finished, just a click of the button will make your life a lot easier. If you would like more information on this project or others, contact us on the internet at michaelholigan.com.
If you have cabinet hardware that keeps coming loose, try this quick tip. Remove the hardware. Now, pop the screw out and then put some screw glue on the threads of the screw. Now make sure that you get a nice thick coating on there. Then immediately put it back in the hole and screw the knob back on. Probably need to take a screwdriver so that you can get it real tight. Hardware stores and home centers do sell this glue, but you can also use wood glue or fingernail polish. If your hardware is loose because the screw is stripped, here's how you fix it. Just remove the hardware and then take some toothpicks and spread some glue over your toothpick. Now again, make sure that you get quite a bit of glue on the toothpick. Then insert it into the hole with your finger at the back of the hole, and make sure that you put the toothpick right up against your finger so that you're sure you have it all the way through. Then let the toothpick rest up against the side of the hole and leave it so that it can dry for a little bit. Now after the glue has had time to dry, then just break off any excess toothpick. Now depending on the size of your hole, you may need to add more toothpicks, because the reason for this is the toothpick kind of fills the hole, so it allows your screw to have something to grab a hold of. Now just put your hardware back in place. Now just screw this in really tight. Make sure you get it nice and snug. And now your hardware should be good as new.
You can walk on it and drive on it, but how about putting it on the side of your house? Michael's up next with a cool finish for the exterior of your home. Find out why cement boards could be the way to go when we return to your new house.
The last builder we talked to told us about siding made of cement.
Come on, and what was the roof made out of, bricks?
No, we're serious. It's supposed to be more durable, easier to paint.
I'll tell you what, just for you, we'll put numbers on the side of your house. That'll make it easier to paint.
Obviously, painting is not the only reason that people choose cement siding. It's also because of its durability, its versatility of looks, and its safety records. It has a lot of benefits. Cement siding is actually 90% lightweight Portland cement. The rest of it is wood pulp and a little bit of sand thrown in. What it gives you is a really strong siding that holds paint very well. When you paint this thing, you might not have to paint your house again for 5 to 10 years. It holds it much better than wood. It has that wood look to it as far as the finish on the exterior, and you can paint it any color. With vinyl, you know, it lasts a long time, but you're sort of limited to the color that it's molded in. With this, you could paint it however often you wanted and change the looks of your home. With the siding being 90% cement, you're probably wondering, how do you cut it? Well, in the old days, they used to use up a lot of saw blades, but then they figured it out. They're using diamond tip, and in this case, carbide tip saw blades. This saw was developed between James Hardie, the siding manufacturer, and Makita. It's got a few special things. One, like a dust bin, so you're not putting all that cement dust up in the air. And it has a vacuum hose that attaches to it over here to this vacuum, and we'll flip it on and start sawing. As you can see, we've got a nice clean edge. Well, if you're wondering how do you attach the siding to the wall since it's 90% cement, you have to remember that it's 10% wood pulp as well. And the wood pulp almost acts like rebar would in a concrete driveway. It helps hold the cement together, and it gives us places to drive our nail through. We just need to adjust our air gun where our nail doesn't go too deep, just barely past the surface. Just nail it in place. Now, one of the huge benefits of this type of siding is being 90% cement, it really doesn't burn. Put it right up there against a flame. In most sidings, your house would be on fire by now. Pull it away, discolored it a little bit, but no fire. HardiePlank even has a limited 50-year warranty, and unlike most sidings, it's resistant to hail damage, fire, water, humidity, termites. Cement siding might be right for you with its versatility of design plus its durability. If you'd like more information, contact us on the internet at michaelholigan.com.
Nope, I'm not practicing my casting, I'm just working a television remote control. Today we're going to be checking out some products that are all related to accessorizing your television, and the first one's called the Spin Master 2000. Now it's basically a standard television remote control. It has a channel changer and a volume control and a mute button, but it also has the added feature of fishing sound effects. Perfect for the fishing enthusiast in your family. Now you can fish for the right television program. It not only has sound effects, and lots of them, it also will give you a little bit of fishing advice. Reel it in. Just like that. Now the cost of the Spin Master 2000 is about $40 and it's available through the Sharper Image catalog. Now, I wouldn't say this is a must-have, but it's certainly fun to have for the halibut. Now to check out a more futuristic remote, check this out. Now this is the Luke Skywalker lightsaber remote, and it adds a new dimension to fighting over the remote, because with these sound effects, you certainly can get into it. Luke, I am your father. Well, you get the idea. Anyway, all the function buttons are hidden in this nice space-age design. Every button makes a sound effect, so it's certainly a lot of fun to play with. The cost of this lightsaber is about $40. It's from smarthome.com, and this is certainly a futuristic remote. Now, if you want to bring your television into the future, well then, check this out. Now, this may look like an ordinary remote control, but it controls something called Replay TV, which is sort of like a TV time machine. It's this black box right here underneath my VCR. Inside that black box is a computer hard drive that can record TV programming, but without videotape. And that gives you a whole lot of flexibility. It also has a phone line connection, so each night it can download a channel guide. Now, if I just push this button right here, just like this, there's the channel guide. It shows you what's on that day. It gives you a brief description of the programming. You can scroll up it or down it, just like that, and it gives you a little idea of what's on. It tells you how far you're into the programming and how much is left. It also has the ability to record anything you're watching. So just by pushing a button, you can record any program you like. You want to record it every day, push another button. Every week, another button. You can also theme record. Let's say you want to record every Clint Eastwood movie. You enter in Clint Eastwood. Every time a Clint Eastwood movie is on air, you're recording it. Every Yankee game, enter in Yankee games. Every time there's a Yankee game, you've got it recorded. Another nice feature about this is that you have the ability to pause a program. So let's say you're watching a show and the phone rings. Oh, I've got to answer the phone. Just push the button, pause, the program freezes right where it is. You go answer the phone, deal whatever it is you have to deal with, make dinner, whatever. When you come back to the button here, you push pause again, and the program picks up exactly where it leaves off, because it's recording the whole time. Another neat feature, you have instant replay with this. So let's say you're watching a great sporting event, and oh, you want to see that play again. Push a button. Or you're seeing some information on an information program. You push instant replay, it freezes the program, goes back a few seconds, and then plays it again. You want to see it again, hit instant replay again and again. You can keep watching that same scene over and over again. It's pretty amazing. Now, should you throw out your VCR? This is not designed for keeping a program forever. You have a limited amount of memory in this thing. So you still want to keep your videotapes for archiving programs for a long time. The cost of this, well, it starts at about $700, and depending on how much hard drive space you buy, the price goes up from there. As far as the monthly service of getting the channel guide, the company says it's free, and it will always be free. And finally, I'm watching a 52-inch television set from about 6.5 feet away. So where's the television? Well, it's right here on my nose. This is the Glasstron by Sony, and it's a personal video experience. The way it works, inside this headset, there are 2 television monitors. So you get this sense that you're watching a big screen TV. Now, I'd like to show you what it's like, but without wearing the headsets, you really can't experience it. It also has these inner ear headphones right here. They give you stereo sound with surround sound. The cost of this is about $900, and it gives you the big screen television experience without a big screen television. Now, for more information on this product or any of the other Check This Out products, check out our website at michaelholigan.com.